Okay, great. I'm really excited. Looks like we have everything up and going on Facebook. And yeah, excited to get back on here and share this with all of you. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go into this. If you have feedback, please reach out on Facebook. I'll try to do what I can. And also here on Zoom, if you can come into the room, it's totally open for you right now. So this is a training on self-identity that I've been working on since I was born, and I'm very grateful to be able to share this with you all. It is my heart's passion that through this technology of self-identity, that you would be loosened from the insecurities that are based around so much of our lives right now in the current contemporary situation that we're in. So this is a training on self-identity that is based around an indigenous technology of looking at self. It's brought into a contemporary way and contemporary languaging through myself, and I'm very open to your feedback of what you think about the whole process. So I'm going to go ahead and start here with a prayer, and I hope that we can get right into it. So if you're joining on Facebook, thank you. And if you are able to, I would encourage you to come on and join me on Zoom as well. So all right. I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself to you using the technology of the Sacred Seven, and we'll get right into the process and making this happen. So, Dogate, Andrew Ecker, Yinishe, Adone, Nishinigi, Ide, Nishe, Irish Bashachin, Ide Dashache, German Dashanali, Kote Go A Tishri, Portland, Oregon, Inasha. Shamae Kathy Lindsay Woye Shazae Dale Ecker Wole. So my name is Andrew Ecker, my mother Kathy Lindsay, my father Dale Ecker, my mother's mother Elva Gallegos, Apache woman from New Mexico, my father's mother Evelyn Beatty, an Irish woman from Pennsylvania, my mother's father Leroy Lindsay, Apache man from Arkansas, my father's father Wayne Ecker, German from Pennsylvania, I have a daughter Bailey, a son Peyton, a beautiful beloved fiance named Monica. I'm going to go ahead and say a prayer here as an opening to this journey in self-identity that I'm really excited to share with all of you, my friends on Facebook. And I'm open to hearing feedback. This is the first time that I'm sharing this publicly, other than doing conferences and workshops at different events around the country. So online, you are the first person to ever see this, and it's really exciting. To know that that you're here supporting this. So I just pray a blessing over my entire self right now. I pray that I would be equipped to utilize my words to help those that are out there that are seeking understanding from the truth within them. And I pray that as I have sat and meditated with the Sacred Seven, that the process that has been birthed in me would be conveyed in a way that brings intellect, intelligence, and understanding into the depth of who we are as people. Beauty above, beauty below, beauty beside, beauty in front, beauty behind, beauty within. I am, we are made full again. So the Sacred Seven. Let me go ahead and get right into this now. This is a pathway to the wholeness of self-identity. I'm an author of a book, The Sacred Seven. It's right here. And if you stay with me to the end of this webinar, I have a free book for you. So you'll be able to get a free copy of the book that you can utilize, and you can read about this technology and you can implement it into your life. Right now, the way things are, this is a great opportunity for us to get into the depth of knowledge from within us. the place of instinct, the place of creativity, the place of birthing. It's all inside of us. And this technology of identity, I feel, is going to really help you understand in a deeper way who you are. So during this webinar, you're going to learn the seven containers of self-identity. And the first is the child within, the divine feminine, the divine masculine, the East perspective, which is the new self, the South, which is the family self. This is who you are to your family. The West is the community representation of who you are. And the North is the elemental. This is who you are to the elements, to the air, the water, the fire, the earth, to gravity, time, and spirit. So all seven of these create a totality and a way of looking at self that's loosened from any one hyper point of view. And this is an important understanding because I feel like at the base of captivity is a hyper perspective. It's a way of viewing yourself that is focused on just one part of you. So if we look at why Creator has given us seven directions, I feel like it's because we can see the totality of our experience from all seven. So this technology of self-identity gives us that ability to look at our life not from one captive state, but instead from the totality of the experience in all seven directions. The foundation of all relationships is within the sacred seven. If we live in a world that is relationship based, we can see that relationships are reflections, they're reflections of ourselves. And inside of the sacred seven, you're going to find the ability to enhance relationships in your life. If you're like me and you understand spirituality through relationship, if you are even just stepping into understanding relational spirituality, this is going to give you that ability to truly understand the depth of knowledge within who you are, and also the agreements that you created in your life in the pre-existence. I really believe that we are eternal souls, and the eternal part of us is in a non-linear conceptualization of time. I'm going to get into how this technology has affected me in a personal way really shortly here in this whole understanding. And I really believe that my personal understanding of this technology and also how it feels in you, the truth that you are going to experience through this, is going to really open you up spiritually. It's going to open you up relationally. It's going to open you up to a deeper understanding of how beautiful life can be, even in the struggles that we're in our contemporary culture right now. Finding the truth of who you are is an important part of the evolution of your spirit. So a little bit about me. I'm an author of The Sacred Seven. I'm a speaker. I'm a business owner. I've owned 2 successful wellness-based businesses. Community development, personal empowerment is really what I'm all about. I've done life and business coaching. I really feel empowered to take information. A lot of times we're bombarded with information in life, and that information becomes an overload. And I'm really about taking information to the transformative place. So that transformative place is really, it's different than what an information overload is. An information overload is really about just bombarding yourself with the pragmatic, bombarding yourself with more information. We live in the information age, and it can really bog us down if we're not careful. So information transformation. So the businesses that I own, Drumming Sounds is our primary business. We've been facilitating 1 to 5 drum circles here in Phoenix, Arizona, and we also work around the country facilitating meaningful transformative experiences. Wellness Sourcing is another business that came out of Drumming Sounds, where we're actually partnering with major Medicare brands to bring programs, wellness-based programs, into underserved communities, low-income HUD housing communities, and places that really don't have the access to the programs that we know will enrich their lives. Basically, I've been using vibration to create an energetic manipulation in some of the darkest places in the planet. These are psychiatric lockdowns and memory cares and facilities where there's a density of human suffering. And through my understanding of vibration and through my teaching of the Sacred Seven, I've been able to access the energy on a spiritual level, on an energetic level, and then break up the density to bring flow. And I really feel it's because of the grounding and the foundation that is present in this ancient technology of self-identity that I'm able to do these things. So as a keynote, I've spoke at the Arizona Assisted Living Federation Association. We were presenters at the International Breathwork Foundation, the Aztec Awards, the Arizona Senior Center Association, Arizona Activity Coordinators Association. I was a presenter at the Drum Circle Facilitators Guild. Yeah, these are just some of the organizations that we've worked with. The National Foundation for Families and Children's Mental Health. Amazing experience there as a keynote presenter. The National Council for Credit Union Foundation, that's another one, working in the financial industry, another keynote presentation. Arizona Spinal Cord Injury Association, another keynote presentation. As far as like the transformative music festivals, I'm an artist. My beloved Monica is an artist as well. And we've worked in the transformative music festivals for some time now, really bringing the drum, helping people that are struggling with addiction, even in those containers, and just really being a voice for self-identity, for spirituality, and for making a difference in the world. Some of the organizations that we currently are under contract with, United Healthcare, Maricopa County Public Health, the largest public health organization in the state of Arizona. I've done work for NACA, which is Native Americans for Community Action. I've done work with Native American Connections, actually a contractor with them. I've worked with 6 different tribal nations, the Havasupai, the Hopi, the Dene, the Navajo, the Tohono O'odham, the Gila River Indian community, and the Pasco Yaqui, doing wellness-based programs in the community and really making a difference in the lives of people in those communities. Friendship Village, a retirement community, Charles Schwab, of course, you know, big financial industry, and all these accolades, all these different businesses that we've worked with. I could really tell you that having a relationship like I do with my beloved Monica, it really is a part of that overall place of feeling successful and being that person that's able to have a functioning relationship, and for both of us to work together and spend huge amounts of time together. I mean, we're together every day, working and maintaining our relationship and working on our relationship. The Sacred 7 has definitely been a vehicle and a foundation for all of that, for all of the work that we've done in the community, for everything that we've been a part of. This technology that I'm sharing with you through this webinar is the foundation for all of those kind of accomplishments in life. So here's a little bit about our business. This is something that was done it was a video done by a local news station. The big thing about this is it's about a 4-minute video here. So I'm gonna go ahead and play it for you. If you know anything about media and you know anything about the news, 4 minutes is huge. They usually give you like a 30-second, you know, here we are at Bye. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this for you. Check it out.
We all have a connection to cancer. We all know survivors, and we all know people whose lives were stolen by the disease. This next story is about stealing those moments back through a form of therapy that has nothing to do with chemo or radiation. This is about finding inner peace by releasing your outer rhythm. Under a burnt orange sky in the West Valley at sunset, a fire swirls in the wind with the added rhythm of percussion and peace.
Everybody take a deep breath. Pull it out with a big sigh.
If fire is symbolic of a burning will to live, then maybe music can unleash that will to live in the moment.
Again, deep breath.
Some of these folks don't know how many moments they have left.
I'm going through a lot right now.
In October, stomach pains for Donna West sent her to the doctor.
And then they found out that I had pancreatic cancer.
Say it with me.
Eva McComb's grandchildren don't know the whole story yet of why Grandma drives alone from LA to Goodyear every few weeks.
And I came down with peritoneal cancer, which is not that common.
Eva and Donna are doing everything they can with traditional medicine to fight their cancers. They're also experiencing something else, music therapy in Andrew Ecker's drum circle.
Let's do it together as a group. You're not alone.
Andrew is a professional drum circle facilitator with nearly 20 years experience. It's his passion and career. He leads hundreds of drum circles for all kinds of people, wounded veterans, Alzheimer's patients, even prison gangs.
3, sometimes 5 a day.
He comes here to the Cancer Treatment Centers of America on a regular basis.
We create a positive experience, an experience that's based around a very simple principle of love and healing.
Music therapy and the field known as health rhythms are part of an integrative approach to treatment.
One of the very unique aspects of our model of care is treating the whole person and not just the cancer.
In the circle, Andrew is 50% music teacher, 50% motivational speaker.
I said, are you ready? Yeah! Are you ready?
Yeah! And 100% connected to the group.
One more time, rumble! And stop! All right, this time we're gonna do a rumble. Then we're gonna put our hands in the air and we're gonna say the words, "We are here!"
It was the first time that I've ever really been in a drum circle, but it was very spiritual.
Oh. It was something that I've always wanted to play with drums, and I've never been able to do it.
It's a lot of good karma in this place.
You know, we're gonna play our drums with love and healing in our hearts. And then that was the catalyst for dancing and for laughter and for people leaving the experience that they're having with cancer for a moment.
I asked Eva, could she leave behind her stage 4 cancer on this night?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The healing power of music isn't fully known, but doctors do know communal activities, engaging with people, and relaxing can boost immune systems. And isn't that what we truly need? Any boost in life? Because there are no guarantees. There's only that fire, that spirit, to celebrate the moments we do have.
We are here!
I have to tell you, we were out there that night for the whole drum circle from start to the finish and then some after they all finished up. It was really powerful, and that outdoor setting doesn't look like it's on the campus of a cancer center, right? Eva told me that performing like that with those drums and in front of a supportive group was something on her bucket list. We certainly want to wish all those folks out there the very best.
So that's a little bit about the work that we do. Yeah, pretty amazing work. We've been doing that for several years. This is another video. I'm not going to share this video with you, but this is a video on the work that we do with kids that are in the arena of mental health. This was the keynote presentation that we did at the, it was actually at the Children's for Mental Health Services, Families and Mental Health Services did the keynote presentation. Pretty amazing video. It's also, it's about 5 minutes long. So I'm gonna go ahead and bypass that video, and I'm going to get to this next part of the presentation. So we're going to step into the place of transformation, and the practice of transformation is something that I feel is important to every single person that's in a spiritual evolution. Now, in my life, right, I wasn't always a keynote speaker. I wasn't always a person that was as influential as I am in the community now in a positive way. I was born into basically an inheritance of trauma. Both of my parents drug addicts. My mom died of a cocaine overdose. My father died of cirrhosis of the liver caused by hepatitis C. To be honest with you about my childhood, it was a very challenging childhood. It was something that was at times frightening. I remember waking up in the middle of the of the night, and being confronted with violence in our home, watching my mom get beat up by the police in front of me. Post-traumatic stress disorder was a part of my life as a child. The earliest memories I have of me and my mom were really her taking me out to go shoplift. And I was in the grocery cart looking over her shoulder as she was professionally shoplifting. My parents were both involved in organized crime. They had crews of people that they would go out and shoplift with daily. By the time I was a teenager, I was using heroin with my father. That's kind of the lifestyle that I lived as a kid. And, all the different things that you can imagine a kid growing up in an environment that really inundated with hardcore drugs. That led me to a place in which I found myself in the same prison yard that I visited my dead father at. Literally, we were in the same prison. When I was a little boy, I went to visit him there. And as I grew older, that whole cycle of addiction manifested itself. And subsequently, I was incarcerated for 3.5 years for selling LSD and mushrooms. And that part of my life was definitely a challenge. It was really a test of my endurance to make it through that and to get this process of transformation into my heart. And I'm talking about spiritual transformation. I'm not just talking about the informational transformation. The deep-rooted transformation that's gone on in my life has brought me to a place in which I can be used and I can be a member of society and really do great work. And that great work is about transforming lives. And that's what the Sacred Seven is really all about. So in this technology, you are going to learn the power of a ceremonial introduction. And I can tell you that there are many people out there that have a ceremonial practice, but yet they don't understand how to step into their embodiment inside of ceremony. There are people that are going and they're traveling to South America to partake in ayahuasca and in peyote and all the different plant medicines, but yet they don't even know how to introduce themselves in a ceremony. Or they're inquisitive about sweat lodge, or they're inquisitive about fire circle or talking circle, yet they don't understand how to actually sit with themselves, how to present themselves. And this technology of self-identity that's inside of the Sacred Seven gives you equips you to be that person, that sovereign individual, and to rest in who you are. It's a very powerful form of sacred technology that I believe can be a part of our contemporary lifestyle, especially as we begin to make our way back to the earth-based mentality, the earthling-based mentality. So 7 perceptions of self, the Sacred Seven. So as we step into the inside place, we're confronted with this idea of the inner child. And the inner child is the one who comes into this world with curiosity, with faith. The child is birthed through the mother, and in birthing that child, there is a certain understanding that the child will be provided for. It was that agreement in the pre-existence that brought us this deeper understanding of self. And as we step into the child within us, we are giving ourselves the ability to really hone into the energy of the child within. There are 3 spiritual directions that I'm going to be sharing with you, first of all, and that is the inside place is the place we begin, the place inside of us, the place that initiates creativity, that initiates playful curiosity, that really initiates faith. The reflection of the child within holds the relational power of faith. And this is so important for us to understand, because as we step to a time frame in which we really understanding how to develop our faith, it is not by the intellectual mind that faith is developed. It's not by the mind of the analytical. When we step out in faith, we're actually stepping into courage. You think about the innocence of a child. As a child is birthed into life, there is a level of courage in understanding that the responsibility of life itself is rested on this most vulnerable of all vulnerable beings, a child. So it is by faith that we come to this incarnation. So the faith of the child in the inside direction is the catalyst for so much spiritual power and spiritual authority. It was even said by the Christ, come as a child unto God. So the mystic energy of transformation through play, intuition, and knowing. This is where the child within us creates that vehicle for the power of the mystic. You know, what it means to look upon the world and see curiosity, to not just look at the scientific reasoning for everything, but instead to look into the mystical reason for why the coincidences are happening, why the numbers are manifesting themselves. All of those things come to us by the curiosity of the transformational energy of the inner child. The inner child is that one that begins to play in curiosity. It begins to look at life as a playground again. And some of us in our lives, we have really stepped into a place where we have released the child. And the child is, the child's voice inside of ourselves is even silenced. And this is not a time for that to happen. We are in a time right now where the power of the faith of the child is probably more important than any other time in the history of humanity, at least for our incarnation. So when we step into a place of imbalance, right, into the child, we can see that the lack of responsibility can lead to behaviors such as addiction, drunkenness. It can also lead to the place of which, yeah, we're the annoying clown, that person that is always in their gratitude, always in their place of spiritual bypassing the density of energy. You know, these are things that are childish. When a person looks at us and says, I can't imagine what you're going through, and they distance themselves from us, it's because of the lack of maturity inside of the child. See, the child has a balance and has an imbalance, and every single container within the 7 sacred containers of self-identity, you're going to find this. And what happens with the 7 sacred containers is when we have balance, we create sacred geometry. So we're talking about the balance of the child, the powerful nature of the child, and also the imbalance of the child within, and how these sorts of energies can find their equality when we begin to look at ourselves in the totality of the sacred 7. So the next container of self-identity that we're going to get into right now is the divine feminine. And the divine feminine is the catalyst for the below space. This is Mother Earth. This is another one of the 3 spiritual directions. So in the below space, we are in a place in which we embrace the darkness. And in embracing the darkness, we're in a space of birthing. So as we rest into the divine feminine, we're resting into the below space, understanding that the below space is the place of perfection inside of the divine feminine. The divine feminine creates the nurturer of the inner child. When the divine feminine is in a place that promotes confidence, wellness, and emotional and physical and also spiritual wellness, what we're going to find is that inside of the person, there is a balanced aspect of nurture. And that nurturing is able to actually create a sort of understanding inside of the inner child. As we begin to mature and we release the confines of the captivity of how our Earth Mother presented the divine feminine to us, and we look at the place of understanding what our Earth Mother brought to us and how our conditioning of the divine feminine inside of us, the feminine aspect of ourself, has been sometimes held captive by that relationship, we can then learn how to nurture the inner child. And we can learn how to create emotional wellness. We can create even physical wellness. A lot of that comes from the divine feminine. You know, when we were children and we got a boo-boo, you know, we had that pain and we took it to our mom and we said, "Mommy, kiss it," or we said, "Daddy, kiss it." You know, Daddy was bringing out the divine feminine, the nurturer, when he kissed that boo-boo, just as much as Mommy was. And sometimes that kiss was a powerful catalyst to even relieve our tears, to even heal the pain and the suffering that we were going through. Now, magnify that inside of our own intellectual understanding, our spiritual and emotional understanding of the divine feminine, and you can see how you can bring balance into your own life and how the imbalance in your relationships that have been dysfunctional, right? Because that magnetism that's inside of you that has been perpetuated through your relationship with your earth mother has created that gravity to draw in those individuals that do not serve your highest purpose. So as we step into the sacred seven in the practice of bringing balance back to the seven sacred containers of self-identity, the divine feminine is another aspect that brings about clarity. The creative force of birthing in the darkness. This is where ideas are birthed. This is where the initiation, a spark of creative force comes. And inside of the embrace of the darkness, we really in a place where we can totally understand the light. If it was the darkness, we wouldn't be in a place of great revelation. And we wouldn't be in a place of understanding the power of the beauty of the divine feminine. So this little cartoon right here, it's about the imbalance of the divine feminine. The divine feminine in its imbalanced state can be the perpetuation of the lack of self-nurturing. In turn, it can create an imbalance in the frequency of reality in order to continually manifest and perpetuate the need for validation. It's like these adults have the boo-boo on the finger and they're constantly looking for someone to kiss their boo-boo. I mean, we all know these kind of individuals in our lives. These individuals that continually create sickness so that they can have a place of being recognized, so that they can have that divine feminine nurturing quality manifest outside of themselves. When we have an imbalance in the relationship to the divine feminine, we seek the nurturer outside of self. And this, you know, I can tell you that as a man living in this world, in this physical incarnation, there is a tendency inside of me, because of the woundedness that was perpetuated through my earth mother, to continue to seek nurturing. And fortunately, you know, I'm in a functional relationship now where I can present my need without having to create a drama around that. And I can present my need in a way that Monica can fulfill that, but it isn't in a way that's imbalanced and putting pressure on our relationship and bringing dysfunction into my world. And that's what's important about the Sacred Seven, is because as we begin to step through each one of these sacred containers of self-identity, you can begin to see the fortification of the sacred geometry that creates the perpetuation of a designed life that was a part of our collective ancestral history. This is the teaching about what it means to be an earthling, what it means to be a full-on embodied earthling, what it means to be an empowered individual in this earth plane. And I'm real excited to share it with you. So the next space that we're going to step into, the next sacred container of self-identity, is the divine masculine. And the divine masculine is represented in the above place. So now we have the Trinity. We have the below place, we have the above place, and we have the inside place. And in understanding the Trinity, you can see the equality of the triangle. So the triangle in itself, if it has equality on all three sides, it is one of the strongest forms of sacred geometry. It is a very powerful tool. In fact, if you look at the pyramids, if you look at all of the great architectures that is out there that has stood the test of time, the pyramid is a part of that architecture. It's a very practical form of strong stability when you have the equality of the divine masculine, the divine feminine, and the inner child. Now, in the divine masculine, we are going to understand that the logical, the linear, and the protector are present. This is the intellectual mind that begins to come in and really craft, right, a linear conceptualization of reality. This is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps of life that create a dynamic shift when we follow that presence. Now, oftentimes people will get hung up on the idea of gender roles inside of this technology. And what I'm going to encourage you to understand is this is not a gender bias formula for self-identity, but instead the realization that inside of us is the place of the divine masculine, the divine feminine, and the inner child. It is the human earthling experience to have these representations of self-identity present in us. And as we begin to really integrate the idea that we are both feminine, masculine, and child, that the Trinity becomes activated in a way that perpetuates the optimal state of human design. Again, the above place, the place of looking down, the place of light, the place of Father Sky. This is the one that brings that logical, linear, and protection to the experience. This is in itself the relationship that we have to problem solving. Okay, many of us are looking for solutions right now in our contemporary culture. You know, you see them on social media. They're people that are they're so concerned with how we got to this place of the COVID coronavirus that they're missing the opportunity right in front of them. They're constantly in a place of linear examination of whatever obstruction or whatever problem or whatever kind of resistance is brought before them. And this is important to have. It is very important to have within the creative process and also within the optimal state of human design to have the divine masculine as a representation of how we relate to problem solving. It is imperative for us to have this important part of self-identity. It also can bring in imbalance. When you have imbalance inside of the force of the divine masculine, we can create exaggerated fear. We can create limits and defensiveness, overprotection and aggression. You know, the picture of the person who's wrapped in bubble tape, right? You know, these are ideas and concepts of the divine masculine. And when the divine masculine steps into that place of overprotection, it can limit the ability of the child and the divine feminine. It can actually, because of its logical nature, it can justify inability in community. It can justify inability in helping others because of the fortitude of its own strength. The divine masculine is a very powerful force because it's based around fear. And if we create an imbalance in the divine masculine, I can guarantee that we will perpetuate, right, the order of response that our society is faced with right now. We are in a place of the imbalance of the divine masculine in so many fields. You know, fear is like the air we breathe. It's been a part of the war on drugs. It was a part of the war on terror. And believe me, if we do not put it in check and we do not do the work of the Sacred Seven, it will be a part of the future of what human beings are living in as we step into a world post-coronavirus. This is why this work is so important and why I really want to present this in an online forum to help us as we begin to transition into a new way of existing, a new way of formulating the understanding of the depth of the human experience. And what's so beautiful about this technology is it's based on an ancestral understanding, an indigenous and a tribal understanding of self-identity. So again here, just to give you a deeper understanding of the three spiritual directions, the powerful perception of connection to self within the child, the feminine, and the masculine represent the Trinity. If you see the picture of the iceberg, what you're going to see is the above place and the below place and the inside place, right? The water, the inside is the birthing, the water. And inside of that sweet place of self-reflection, you can see that the instrument of the human experience is multiplied by that. It is multiplied in what it means to be an earthling, what it means to be a powerful vehicle for transformation in the lives of yourself, your family, your community, and the planet. It begins with these three spiritual directions. If you are only to get the information and association between the divine feminine, the divine masculine, and the inner child, if you just grounded really into the Trinity, you could live so much more of a powerful life. You could be so much more of a witness for what it means to be an actualized, realized individual. Yet there's much more for you. There's much more for me. And that is where we step into the physical directions, the four physical directions, east, south, west, and north. And this is where in the introduction, we bring in our grandparents. So as I introduce myself, my mom, and my dad. That is the representation of the Trinity. The Trinity is that power place. It's that power place of self-identity within the sacred seven. So now you're beginning to understand a little bit more about how we ground into the technology of the sacred seven, how we can begin to utilize it in our own lives through ceremonial practice of introduction, through voicing the power of the word. The word is life. The word is truth. The word is your resonant frequency. As you're sending out your introduction into the world, you're manifesting these energies of the divine child, the divine masculine, the divine feminine. So the four physical directions again here, east, south, west, and north. These are the representation of our grandparents. These are the keys, right, to the outside relationships. Once we have the foundation of the Trinity and we've worked on identifying ourselves in that way, we then step into the outside relationships that are really reflectant of our inside nature. So this is very important to understand within the technology of the Sacred Seven, because this is going to give you the depth of really realizing the potential of the power of the magnification of this truth of self-identity. So Grandmother East, she sits in the East and she begins the four directions. This is the mother's mother, and she guides us in new relationships. The newness of the East is represented inside of that container. And every person in our life is a new relationship at some point. Now, in the traditional sense, this would be the clan identity. This would actually be who you are. So if your mother's mother is Jewish, right, then you're Jewish. If your mother's mother is Apache, then you're Apache. If your mother's mother, whatever in the matriarchal system of clan identity, that is who you are. It is your mother's mother that really brings that representation of self-identity. She is your clan mother. She is the one who holds space for you. And that's why in the East, she is the guiding force of new relationships. So she gives us a gate in drawing new relationships in. She is the origin of the womb. She's the one who gives us that deeper understanding of how to view new relationships. In other words, it's the Grandmother East that holds the guiding frequency for those that do not know you to already know you, because you have fortified the metaphysical architecture, the energetic architecture of your self-identity. So those business relationships, those love interests, all of the new relationships that come into your reality come by the gate of the East. And when we have the representation of a fortified architecture of self-identity in the East, we are awakened to a process of deeper relationship building and deeper relationship bonds. This is the newness of knowing that those relationships are guided to you, that instinctual space inside of you that says, oh, I need to talk to this person. I need to reach out to this person. I need to call this person. All of these things, these new relationships come by the East. And Grandmother East is that guiding force in the East for us in the Sacred Seven. So the imbalance and balance in the East, very powerful to understand how we can be balanced in the East and we can also have an imbalance in the new relationships. If we are a person that's constantly seeking a new relationship to approve ourselves, if we're a person that's constantly in a place of needing that, addicted to love, new love, we won't find the depth of what it means to transition a person out of a new relationship into a long-term relationship. And that's where the imbalance of our self-identity in the East can really bring about a place of us living in lack, because we really haven't been able to fortify the place of growing in depth in a relationship. She's there as a guide, but yet she's not there to hold your hand to go from flower to flower to flower to flower, right? Like, yeah, meet the people that you need to meet, but also allow for those meaningful relationships to really take root in your life and to grow in depth. It's important for us to have friendships that are long-term. It's important for us to have those meaningful business relationships. I can tell you that I have had clients for more than 10 years in my business relationships. And it's because I've allowed for them to step from the East as a new relationship into a meaningful long-term relationship. So the balance of the East gives perspective into new relationships. The imbalance is that need to constantly find new people to cycle through friends. So grandmother south. Now this is the father's mother, and we're staying in the matriarchal. If you notice, it's the mother's mother and the father's mother that get introduced one right after another, because that's honoring the feminine. This is a technology that is based around a matriarchal system, and the matriarchal system for me makes sense, and it's something that we can really learn from if we really step into that place of understanding our ancestral medicine. Many of us in our earth-based identity, we're a part of a matriarchal system. We're a part of honoring our mothers, honoring our grandmothers, honoring the feminine in our lives. So grandmother south, she sits as a guide into our family relationships. And this is a very important part of the process of the Sacred Seven, because for me, as a person who has had a spiritual transformation in my life and has really stepped into being honest and vulnerable with myself, one of the hardest places for me to show up as a spiritual person, as a person that has information, guidance, and wisdom, is in my family's life. It took me years to be able to be the person to say the prayer at the dinner table. It took me years to be able to be authentic and vulnerable in my ministry with my family, and to play the gong and to play the drum and to play the flute and the hantan and to be myself around my family. And I know that I'm not the only one that has resistance in the energy of the family dynamic. So grandmother south holds that space. And thankfully, I have that transformational energy in my life. So this is actually, there's a typo right here. I'm noticing that right now. Thankfully, this is just a practice I'm going through. So grandmother south is the family. She's the identity and the reflection of family in the spiritual agreement. Now, this is something that I know in my life as a truth, and I would just encourage you to understand this. Many people look at their family and they think to themselves, well, why, I'm not my family. Like, my family has nothing to do with me. I don't even like those people. Well, what about the contemporary culture has perpetuated that idea inside of your mind? Have you ever thought about the conditioning of this world and how you have brought yourself to that conclusion? I can relate to this. Both of my parents being involved in being drug dealers and doing the things that they were doing, being involved in organized crime and the whole lifestyle that I lived as a child, being in and out of drug houses, the violence, the gangs, everything, inside of that identity of self, I had to come to a place of recognizing what is the medicine in my family relationships that I brought into this incarnation. Why did I choose them in the pre-existence? And in choosing that storyline and choosing that, I have found integrity in my relationships. And actually, I found medicine in them. And what I mean by medicine is those family relationships have helped me in the work that I'm doing with addicts. They've helped me in the work that I'm doing in psychiatric lockdowns, in memory care, in skilled nursing facilities, in prisons, and working with youth at risk. All of that has been the catalyst for my greatest sense of understanding. And it comes from grandmother South. She's the one who represents that relationship in the family. And you have medicine in your family. Now, I don't know what it's like to grow up in a family where my parents are constantly provoking me to go to college and to be a doctor, to be a lawyer, or putting the pressure on me to have good grades in school. I don't know what that's like. I don't know what it's like to want to commit suicide because I got an F on a report card. That was never a part of my childhood upbringing. You know, I had a different set of situations and circumstances, but your medicine is still there. You are a vehicle for medicine. If you allow yourself to begin to fortify the architecture of self-identity and to really bring in, right, that ministry that you have. I'm here sharing this with you because I care about you and I want you to live a good life. You know, every single one of us here has an opportunity to really validate our spiritual presence on the earth, and we are needed right now more than ever. So, of course, the imbalance and the balance in the family relationship to self-identity is one that is evident in so many perpetuations of dysfunction. You know, in my life, when I was on the same prison yard that I visited my dead father at, Fort Grant in Arizona, it was actually a prison that was also used to house my Apache relatives during the Apache Wars in Arizona. This prison yard was the place in which I began to understand the generational trauma. I began to understand the pain and the suffering of generations of addiction. And in doing that, right, I created a transformational energy inside of myself that set me free to find sovereignty. Now, my daughter is 25 years old and owns her own house. She's in a place where she's a manager, an office manager. She's doing the right things, the necessary things in this culture to really help me understand that, yes, the cycle of the curse of addiction has been lifted. The cycle of the trauma, of generational trauma, has been lifted. And my daughter now is in a place of sovereignty. And this is a beautiful thing to recognize. And it comes by stepping into the balanced self. It comes by understanding vulnerability, intimacy, and loving your family, regardless of what you feel they have traumatized you. Those skeletons in the closet where the abuse, the trauma, even sexual abuse has gone on. And still we hold on to that and we don't share that. And we've been weighted down by that trauma. I want you to know that there is a technology. It takes work, but inside of the Sacred Seven, there's a sovereignty that you can find that can bring your medicine to this world in a very powerful way. And I'm seeing a vision of a person really living up to their potential through this technology. And I'm excited to share it with you. So we're going to step into the grandfathers now. And I love this shaman here. I think he's from Europe. I'm not sure. He's got these gray eyes, right? You know, this guy here. Yeah, he's a very powerful guy. You know, I don't know where he's from. Maybe Italy, huh? He might be from Italy. So, yeah, this, you know, Grandfather West is the place in which we begin to realize who we are to community. And who we are to community is a very powerful place to be, because this is, you know, the people that we bring into our lives because we want to. This is our church. This is our yoga studio. This is our martial arts studio, our gym, our circle, our sacred community, our ceremonial community. These are the people that we bring into our lives because of choice. And even our job place is a choice. So when we step into the understanding of how Grandfather West guides us in community, we can oftentimes find that there is a vehicle there for us to really perpetuate and really fortify our medicine for taking that out into the community and making a difference in the lives of the people that need us, those vulnerable populations, those populations that we feel the encouragement to reach out and to minister to. The sacred space of community is who we choose to manifest. We choose to manifest them in the gateway and the perception of self that's rested in Grandfather West. We bring in those individuals to carry us, to dance with us, to sing with us, and to be a part of the community that we're constantly in a state of developing. Now, the balance and the imbalance in community, it's very evident in an individual that is constantly in a place of hedonism. I've witnessed this so much. It's all about them. And they look at community as another opportunity for them to get something. It's not about service to community. It's about what I can get from people. And this is an imbalance in self-identity that comes at the very nature of community development and how we look at our responsibility to community, how we look at our responsibility to the people that are in our life because we choose to bring them in, and also what we can do to serve them. When we have a balanced representation of self-identity and community, we are more open to helping those around us that need our help. We're more open to stepping into community development in a way that is not about predatory practices of trying to get something constantly. Instead, it's about what can I give to community? What can I be there to help people through? How can I show up? This is the balanced form of self-identity inside of the West, where Grandfather West rests and gives us deeper understanding into self. Grandfather North, and this is the sacred container of self-identity in relationship to the elements. And in the elemental self, we step into a place where we really begin to fortify our relationship with the elementals. And we begin to create a deeper understanding of how those individual building blocks of this reality are able to give us relational value and to help us in our life. Our Grandfather North creates a vehicle for us to step into a relational value of self-identity in the elements. And this is an important part of the process, because inside of this place of recognizing our relationship to the elements, we also step into relationship with the divine. So I have 7 sacred containers of elements, and that is the air, the water, the fire, the earth, gravity, time, and spirit, source energy, God, Yahweh, Jesus Christ, whatever you choose to call, Great Spirit, Yusin, whatever it is that you want to identify source energy as, I am open to any representation. And this process is not about a religion. It's not about captivating you to one discipline of self-reflection or spirituality. It's about simply how do you show up in relationship to all of those ideas, in all of those relations. This is an important understanding because you have the ability to be in relationship with the elements. And in being in relationship with the elements, you are really bringing about an honest transformation of self, and you're really reclaiming your inheritance as an earthling. And that is something that I value in my own life, and I want it for you. I want you to be able to have the relationship with the elements and to be in a place in which those relationships can guide you, can help you, and protect you even in this time of great insecurity. Knowing that the elements are a part of your relational value gives you a deeper understanding into your stability on this planet. You know, it is by in relationship with the water that we find medicine, with the air we find medicine, with the earth and with the fire we find medicine, with gravity we find medicine, with time we find medicine. And of course, with source and spirit, there is deep medicine there of transformation. And that's why, you know, this is not about just conveying information to you. This is about a transformational experience, a journey into self-identity. The relationship of these sacred containers of self-identity brings infinite source and purpose. The relationship to prayer, meditation, grounding, the animals, the trees, the spiritual beings, the plant medicines, they come from this gateway into the north. And we have worked our way through 6 representations of self-identity to get to this place of deeper understanding in the north. As we perpetuate that idea of optimal self in all 6 of the other relationships and all 6 of the perceptions of self, we now step into the north, realizing that it is the elementals, the very foundations of this reality that we are now in relationship with, because we have practiced with our two-legged friends. We practice with ourself. And now as we fortify that metaphysical architecture, that energetic architecture of self, we can call upon our relationship to the elements in a deeper, meaningful way. And that is a vehicle for transformation. It's a vehicle for transformation into the infinite vibration of source energy. That's what rests inside of the sacred 7. Now, you can have an imbalance in the elementals as well, and you can be a person that isolates into isolation into the woods and forgets about your human relationships. That's an important part of the imbalance and the balance of the north. It's something that I really feel like all of us inside of where we are in an evolution we can understand that if we have fortified representations of self in the 6 other containers of self-identity. The powerful nature of spirituality is something that many people jump into without any sort of fortified representation of self. That's why in a lot of countries, in a lot of ancient teachings, the sacred 7 is given as the foundation before any other forms of spiritual development or spiritual evolution are given. I heard Sadhguru say one time that children are not given these more advanced understandings of spirituality until they first know who they are. And in knowing who you are, there's a representation of your grandparents and your parents and how you look at those relationships, how you look at the karmic consequences of those relationships in your life that fortifies the space of relationship with the elements. It's been very important to not put the cart before the horse in spiritual evolution and spiritual development. So we're stepping into this space, and I know that this is a lot of information. It's very an intellectual change. But I really want to ask you a question. If I was able to take you on a deeper journey into self-identity and really help you foster a better understanding of yourself and the infinite possibilities that are within yourself, would that be something that you would be interested in learning more about? Would you want to know how you could journey into the depth of these self-containers, these containers of self-identity, into finding the power that has given us the opportunity to live the life that me and Monica have dreamt of, to be free from the captivity of self-persecution, shame, guilt, all of these things? Would you want to learn how to loosen yourself from those chains? So I hope the answer is yes. So I want to help you. I want to give you more understanding into the depth of the sacred 7. And in doing so, it's really about the personal transformation. It's about not only intellectual information, but about really stepping into that fortified architecture of self, the energetic, the spiritual depth of understanding the release from the captivity. So I'm giving everybody on this podcast right here, or I'm sorry, everyone on the webinar, access to the free book, and I'm going to give you the outline, the access to get it. You can get it online at the website I just posted on Facebook. You can go there and you can book for free. So please do that. Please go and get the book for free. If you want to go deeper into the journey, if you want to go down the rabbit hole and you have the courage to go down the rabbit hole, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be doing one-on-one personal sessions using vibration. Now, I shared with you at the beginning of this that that's what we use in the hospitals. That's what we've been doing. And we've seen transformation on a group level. in utilizing sound and vibration on a personal level, I'm able to actually go into an energetic frequency that is non-linear, and I'm able to get to the heart of many of the issues that people are faced with just in one setting. And this is something that I'm very encouraged to share with you all, because I know that sound is a tool that is at the essence of all things. You know, vibration is the very essence of life itself. So we're going to utilize sound. We're going to utilize the drum. We're going to utilize the hamtan, the didgeridoo, the flute, the sound bowls, the gong, all of these tools of sound in order to get into that place inside of your revelatory self, the place in which revelation comes to minister to you. So we're setting up a community right now, an online Facebook community, in which we're going to be doing 8 sessions. These 8 sessions are sessions around the technology of the Sacred Seven. And inside of that community place, you're going to find support of people who are like you, that are wanting to learn about the Sacred Seven, wanting to implement this ancient tribal technology into their lives, and are wanting to really step into a process where they can begin to fortify that relationship to self-identity that is the catalyst for great transformation. So this is 8 weeks of deep experiential transformation and accountability with community connections through the private Facebook group. So I'm going to be basically facilitating the 8 sessions of deep transformation. Each one of you is going to have me as a tool to help facilitate the process, but also there's going to be a community of people around each individual. There are exercises that are associated with this challenge. It's not like you're just going to be sitting there, you know, doing nothing while we read through the book. No, the book is one part of it, but also there are individual challenges where we're going to be going into the depth of vibrational frequency. We're going to be utilizing those instruments of transformation, and we're going to be releasing the captivity together as a community of people who are called to that shift of self-identity. So normally when I've done this before in individual settings, the price tag has been $25 for the book. The one-on-one session, my coach and coaching fee is $200 an hour. And then the 7 group sessions would be at $200. Those are over 2 hours, each one of those sessions. And the total would be $1,625. Now, what I'm doing for this special program is I'm actually not even going to do what you're seeing in front of you. The changes that have gone on recently and where we're at as a community, this is going to be offered on a donation basis for individuals that are in my network, for individuals such as you that are on Facebook right now watching this video. We're going to join this 8-week journey together on a donation platform. So my account on Zoom has the ability for us to do 100 people at a time. I don't know how many people are going to be a part of this, but what I know is that I know that there are people that are hungry for transformation. There are people that are hungry to come back into alignment with the earth. And the only commitment that I'm asking is that you would stay with the program, the totality of the 8 weeks, 2 months of transformation. This is going to be the process that we're going to go through together. That sort of time frame will give you the ability to really hone into the spiritual practices that the Sacred Seven offers. There's going to be challenges inside of each one of the containers to get to know self-identity in a deeper way, to get to know yourself in the reflection, ceremonial practices. You're going to be, lighting a ceremonial fire. There's going to be challenges of journaling, of artistic expression. All of this is going to be a part of this 2-month-long transformational journey that those that are interested can go on for a donation. This is like a $1,600 value that we're offering to people right now. And to shepherd you in that process, I'm available. I'm an expert in self-identity. I've made the transformation in my own life from hopeless heroin addict, crack cocaine addict, drug dealer, to keynote speaker, working in a phenomenal business and married to a gorgeous, beautiful woman that I'm 100% completely in love with. And all of this transformational change is a part of my expert understanding into self-identity. It was by the power of the release, spiritual release from the bondage that had me captivated, that I'm able to present the Sacred 17. So if you're interested in connecting, let's please connect. Reach out to me on Facebook. Thank you so much. I want to listen to everything that you have, all the feedback that you have on the program. And tomorrow I'm actually going to do the live launch on the Sacred 7 page. So I hope you can come to that as well. This is the first time that I'm presenting this information to anyone online. I've done workshops before and I've seen amazing transformation, but those have always been in person. This new online platform that we're all faced with is something that's totally new to me. I do have enough books for 30 people to get signed copies of the book. Tomorrow, I'm going to be offering the signed copies of the book on the platform on the Sacred 7 page. So if you'd like a signed copy of the book, they're $25 for a signed personal message. You can PayPal me that, and I will send you out a personal signed copy of the book. I'm going to go ahead and close in a prayer tonight. Thank you so much for joining me here on Facebook. Thank you so much for being a part of the Sacred 7, for allowing me to share this amazing technology with you. So Father, Mother, Creator, Source, I thank you for allowing for this technology and for myself to be an instrument of transformation. I pray that the people who have encountered this teaching would learn to be able to let themselves go from any sort of captivity that would keep them from their optimal state of human design. I thank you that you have already removed the barriers. You have already removed the restrictions, and you have allowed for us all to live in a deeper sense of understanding, love, and gratitude. I release this word upon the earth right now, knowing that you have moved in the seen and unseen parts by our faith together as a cord of many strands that is not easily broken. Beauty above, beauty below, beauty beside, beauty in front, beauty behind, beauty within. I am, we are made beautiful again.